Welcome, everybody. I'm going to take a minute just to make sure we go live on YouTube and Instagram. If you allow me just a minute, and while I'm doing this, please take a moment to introduce yourself. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know what is the biggest thing that you would like to accomplish out of your participation in the next 21 days. Some of you know me. I'm going to take a minute to introduce myself, but I mostly want to welcome you. Thank you for participating. Thank you for registering for this training. I'm going to be giving you all this information over the next 21 days, and I don't take your time and or commitment for granted. So I'm going to take a minute just to connect with you on the group. If you have any questions at all, you can post them in the chat. And I hope to have a conversation with you guys as I'm sharing all that I'm sharing with you guys, because this is for you. And if I don't know what you guys are going through, if I don't know what you guys are thinking, I will not be able to share with you things that will make a difference. So I'm going to go ahead and post the live in the group. Give me just one more second, and I will start seeing everybody that comes in. As I said, I invite you to participate and share in the chat. I am putting it for everybody to see. Now it's posted in the group, and I'm going to pin it to the top so everybody can actually find it. All right. I think we're good to go. So thank you so much for being here. 21 days anti-aging protocol to awaken the inner lioness. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm so excited you decided to join us. And I'm very proud to say that I took a lot of time, effort, and intention in preparing myself for this training. For the last 3 months, I've been putting a lot of effort in educating myself on how to support women in the middle age. And it comes from my own journey, my own pain points, my own challenges that I've been through in the last maybe 4 or 5 years as a middle-aged woman, and trying to navigate the medical system and understand what I need to do in order to feel better. As you are coming in, please give me a thumbs up and or make a comment to let me know that you can hear me, that you can see me. Introduce yourself. Let us know where you are tuning in from. And I will take a minute just to introduce myself for the ones that never met me or never been to one of my trainings. My name is Natalia Schifini. I'm originally from Argentina. I've been here in the United States since 2000, actually 2000 permanently, but I got here in 1997 to study and to go to school. And then after that, one thing led to the other one. I stayed in the United States for the last almost 20 years, 30 years. I've been living here. My background is a very strong background in wellness. I played volleyball growing up. I became a personal trainer in 2001. So it's been 25 years of being a personal trainer. I'm a yoga instructor. I'm a hands-on healer, a hypnotherapist, a neurolinguistic program practitioner, and a hypnotherapist, as well as a dance instructor and a few other things that are not relevant to the training. And the reason why I wanted to offer this particular training for women in middle age is because I believe it was in 2019 that I found myself, even though I'm a wellness expert, even though I've done everything that I needed to do in order to keep up and keep strong and keep healthy, in 2019, I started working a corporate job in management. And in a few months, without really being able to keep up with my responsibilities and taking care of myself, in addition to that, I kind of deviated from my natural way of taking care of myself. And what ended up happening is I gained weight and I felt really off. And I think it was 42 years old. I started feeling really off. I felt tired. I felt groggy. I felt pain in my body. I felt like I couldn't sleep well. a little bit more fat in my middle section, which is totally not normal for me. I didn't know how to deal with that. It was very frustrating. And after talking with a lot of women, especially in the last 3 months, I realized that I'm not the only one dealing with that, of course, and that there's a lot of women that are navigating the same issues, not being able to sleep, having a hard time losing weight, losing fat specifically, irritated, foggy brain, tired, all the things that are very common to mid-age, years. But many times what happens is we take it that that's the way it's gotta be. This is the way it is. This is where I am. I'm aging. I'm not able to do much about it. And I want to invite you to consider that we haven't found the way to deal with it yet, but there is much more that we can do in order to balance our hormones, to increase our metabolism, and doing all the things that we can to promote anti-aging. And so, what I'm going to be sharing over the next 21 days is a combination of knowledge, experience, and also my own journey on what I've been through in the last maybe 8 years of my life, trying to figure it out how to balance the hormones, improve my sleep, stay focused, stay motivated, and a little bit of the detours that I had to take in the medical system because I was told to take medication when I was able to reverse that condition. And I'll share more about that as the days go by. And so if you're here and you're live, let me know where you're tuning in from. Tell me a little bit about you. Tell me where you're coming from. Tell me what's the biggest pain point or discomfort that you're dealing with. The homework today is going to be related with identifying what is the biggest pain point for you. Specifically, what do you deal with that is annoying, discouraging, disempowering, frustrating in the middle age? And I'm going to invite you to participate with me live, giving me feedback so that I can better understand how I can cater this training specifically, touching on the points that are specifically most important to the women that are going to be tuning in live and or watching the replay. And so a little bit of the logistics. This live is going to be every day at 8 p.m., except for the weekends. I might make it earlier in the day because I know people are busy on the weekends, especially at night. Um, Normally during the week, I will go at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The material will stay in the group as a replay for the people that are in Europe or different timelines and want to participate. So I invite you to come back and watch the replay any day that you can. Keep up with the training. Some of you are in Europe, some of you are in the West Coast, some in you are in Latin America. So I invite you to keep up at whatever time is convenient for you. Maybe set a time aside that you're going to be dedicating to catch with the training, catch up with the training, because what is one thing that I know for sure is that we're all busy. We're spread quite thin. We have a lot to manage and maneuver in life. And if you're a mom and if you're a woman and you have a significant other and you work in corporate America or you lead your business, it's going to be hard to keep up unless you're very intentional about being able to do so. And so put a schedule in maybe in your calendar that will remind you of the replays, and they will remain in the group at least for 21 days until I remove them at a later time. And so I see Kim here, see Beth here. Thank you so much, you guys, for tuning in live. We're going to go right into the material. The material for day one is all about the inner lioness. What do we want to do with the inner lioness? Is acknowledge that it's still within, that we haven't lost, our inner lioness, that our strength, our balance, our roar is still inside. And many times we have to come back to alignment because when we are overextended, when we're multitasking, when we're dealing with a lot on our plate, when we're stressed out, when we're doing a lot of things for everybody else that is expecting or wanting or needing from us, many times we forget about ourselves, and in the process, we abandon our self care. And I always talk about this in my trainings. I think that self care and the body and health is going to be a combination of body, mind, and soul. So, body, mind, and soul, this triangle is what we are going to be focused on. But what happens is, as a busy woman, this goes upside down, and we are no longer focused on our body, mind, and soul. We actually overextending ourselves, distracted, multitasking, doing all the things that people expect for us to do, and leaving ourselves behind many times with not having the level of self care and dedication for our own health, our own well being, as much as we're spreading ourselves thin to be available for everybody else. And so today is not going to be a start of a weight loss journey. It's not going to be a start of anything related with aging. Today is about coming back to where you started feeling lost, where you found that you're not longer connected with yourself, or your body's not responding the same way, or you're not feeling that you are empowered, present, clear in your mind, rested, enthusiastic, energetic, all the things that are happening that keeping your metabolism and maybe your hormones off are going to have an impact on the way you feel from the moment you wake up to the way you operate until you go to sleep and the quality and quantity of sleep that you're able to accomplish. And so today is mostly about remembering who we are. We have the inner lioness within. We have that power, that strength, that roar. And many times we just have to redirect. We have to bring ourselves back to alignment, pull back, um, say no when we're meant to say no, and say yes when we are meant to say yes. And when we do things, do it with joy and making it a contribution. And when we are not meant to take something on, not feeling that we are bad, wrong, or guilty for not being able to do that for whoever is needing it. Sometimes we need to prioritize our self care. Sometimes we need to go within and pay attention to our body, what the body is asking for. And many times when we're so busy and distracted and overextended and multitasking, we tend to overlook those little signs that come behind our ear to let us know, hey, you know what? You need more water, you need more movement, you need better sleep, you need to disconnect from the device, so you need to disconnect from the drama, you need to disconnect from the gossip, you need to disconnect with the limited beliefs or the negative thinking that end up making us fold in and totally give up, feel resigned and cynical about being able to make progress. And so today is all about remembering who we are and unleashing, bringing out alignment with that inner lioness that's within us. Okay, so I like to peel the layers of who we believe we are, the conditioning, the fear, the people pleasing, the try to fit in, the try to be accepted, loved, appreciated, and all the things that we do as human beings, and go at the core of your inner strength and your innate courage and everything that is inside of you as that inner lioness that's available. So we're going to unleash her, we're going to bring her out, we're going to align again with that inner lioness. And so it's power, confidence, vibrancy, all the things that make us present and enthusiastic and energetic and feel good with our own self and show up in the world in the best way possible so that we can make a difference in the world and not feel resentful about leaving ourselves behind in the process of making a difference with the world. And so for years, we had this belief that midlife is where the decline starts. And for me, the way I see it is midlife is where the awakening starts. We stop being so confused about the direction our life wants to go on. Many times we accomplish, a relationship or have our first relationship, serious relationship. We settle down, we become moms, we have our first job, we start building our business or growing our professional career, and things start settling. All of a sudden, that, youth and energy that we had is probably not so vibrant, but we are not necessarily declining. We're settling and we're actually connecting with other senses, so our spirituality, with our purpose, with our sense of legacy. What do we want to leave behind? That if it were to be present in the world, it will make a difference, it would inspire people, and will leave the impact behind that we want to leave, because we all have a purpose, we all have a mission, we all have a legacy that we want to leave behind. And when we're thinking about taking care of ourselves or thinking that we haven't taken care of ourselves, we're always going back to that main focus point, right? And so we want to stop thinking about I have to take care of myself, or I should be taking care of myself, or how come I'm not taking care of myself. All these conversations occupy space in our brain, distract us, make us feel very disempowered. It takes us away from being present. And many times we're beating ourselves up, making ourselves wrong. And one of the things I'm going to talk to you right away today is that we have to operate from a sense of the authentic self. The authentic self is based on faith. And when we are operating from fear, what happens is that we misalign with our authentic self, and what we're aligning with is the conditioning, the fear, the limited belief, the lack of confidence, negativity, gloomy thoughts, all those things that come from us in the past and whatever happened in the past, and that need and or sense of having to protect myself because all of a sudden I'm not safe and I'm uncertain about the outcome of certain things. So I start shrinking, I start protecting myself, I start withdrawing, isolating myself. And that sense of protection, it seems like it's saving me from dangers, but what it's doing is taking away my authenticity. My voice is going to be censored in a way because I'm going to be focused on things that are not relevant, such as people pleasing, being liked, being appreciated, being respected, being loved. And of course, being liked and being loved and being appreciated and being respected is important. But it doesn't really give us the inherent value that we have, and it's not going to provide anything as far as our power to make the impact and leave the legacy that we want to leave behind. What people think of me is none of my business. I like to teach that to my daughter. I remind myself many times about that. We're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. And so leaving behind all the concerns of the conditioning of trying to fit in, trying to be liked, trying to be accepted, trying to be the smart person or appreciated or whatever kind of people pleasing that shows up when we're concerned mostly about them instead of focusing on us. So today we're bringing the energy in. We're awakening our sense of purpose. We're awakening our sense of well-being, and we're going to really ground the next 21 days of if I am able to take care of myself without feeling guilty, without feeling bad, or feeling like it's inappropriate, or I shouldn't be spending so much time in me, and turning that and reframing that, turning it around and reframing it when I'm taking care of myself, when I'm grounded, centered, positive, enthusiastic, rested, focused, all these things, I actually feel better. Therefore, I have more to give. I'm going to have a better experience in life. People are going to have a better experience of me. I'm going to have more impact to make, and I'm going to have a sense of ease and flow that's not available when we're concerned about people pleasing, overextending ourselves, being liked, appreciated, respected, and all the things that the conditioning tends to do to protect ourselves. And so the invitation today is to refine, reignite that inner lioness and to start detaching from that sense of conditioning that keeps us small, that keep us protecting ourselves and doesn't allow us to take a risk and or start a new routine with that sense of confidence that I can do it even if I do a little bit at a time. Every single day I will get there. And so for years, we have society telling women that the midlife years is the beginning of the end. And when menopause hits and women no longer can conceive babies, it starts with a decline. Then it comes the osteoporosis and all the things. But it doesn't necessarily need to be so. What happens in society nowadays is that we have relegated the sense of self care and well being, and there's a lot of shortcuts that people are taking nowadays that not necessarily impact your body in a good way or are a transformation, a long term transformation that will bring about the result that you want to experience long term. And so the longer the time you take in that process of transformation, the more the chances that lasting change, transformation, new version of you will be. And what it tends to happen is when we go fast and fast, we get there and then we lose all the weight or accomplish that strength, that flexibility, whatever it is that you want to accomplish. And the moment we get there to our goal, we relax, we let go, we get lazy, complacent, and we start kind of backpedaling. And so what I'm committed to you is that this 21 days is going to be the beginning of a new process where you put your self-care as a priority and you don't feel guilty or make yourself wrong or beat yourself up or have it that it shouldn't be. and that you are able to expand the size of your tray. That all of a sudden you are able to encompass and or take care of more things without being overwhelmed, without going into burnout, without going into resentment or feeling that I shouldn't be doing all these things because I'm now exhausted and lacking alignment. So bringing yourself back to the sense of power, sense of centeredness, and sense of self-care. That is what we're trying to do. So we tend to hear about the best years are behind you, or aging means slowing down, or that the weight gain is inevitable, and none of that is true. If we're taking care of ourselves and eating right and exercising, a lot of those things can be diminished, avoided, and minimize. But what happens is we tend to, as we age, take on more responsibility and leave ourselves behind. We tend to abandon ourselves. So this is an invitation to come back to you, to take care of you, to make yourself a priority, to not beat yourself up and make yourself wrong or feel bad that you're doing this, because truly what will be available will be a better version for anybody that needs you, counts to you, expects for you to do certain things, and a better version is good for not only yourself but everybody else that is needing. And so menopause is not necessarily suffering, it's not weight gain, it's not losing energy, it's not a decline. It actually is an opportunity for you to connect with yourself, your spirituality, your purpose, and your sense of wellness and that legacy that you want to leave behind. And making that impact requires that you center yourself in your self care and you align your well being so that you're always taking care of yourself, at peace, empowered, feeling good, eating right, energized, all the things that are going to be present when you made yourself a priority. And so that is the invitation for you guys. Middle age is the season where you stop living for everybody else and you start living for yourself. Listening to yourself is where the wisdom replaces the people pleasing, is where the confidence steps in to replace the comparison. It is where you finally realize that you have that inherent value, strength, that roar of a lion that is inherent to you. It doesn't need to be given and or acknowledged or stated by anybody else. It's there within, and you actually start honoring yourself for the strong, beautiful soul woman that you are, and taking care of yourself as if you mattered, actually honoring the importance of your self-care and your health and your well-being. And so we finally going to realize the value that we have, and it's not tied to our age, our looks, and or anything else other than how we feel and how our body is in what state of health it is. I'm going to share my own struggles, especially since the age of 40 after having my daughter, um, and what I dealt with. And I'm going to be sharing as the training goes into day 2, day 3, a little bit more of my journey. But that basically is it: reclaiming, aligning, igniting, reivindicating that inner lioness, that sense of power, courage, beauty, strength, and that opportunity to make a big impact without leaving ourselves behind, without losing the power, without losing the strength that we have inherently in us. So stop abandoning ourselves, taking care of ourselves, and making ourselves the priority. So what is the biggest lie that women have been told about aging is that aging means deterioration and that it's going to be decline. The body is actually communicating with you. So if we start listening to the signs, many times we notice that we feel hungry and we go to eat something, and many times that actually is not hunger. It's a sense of dehydration, and the signal is very similar. And so what happens is we are busy, we're not paying attention, we're not tuned in, we're not aligned, and we quite frankly feel like we never have time to take care of ourselves, so we push through, we relegate, we abandon, we ignore, we don't cleanly listen, and many times that sense of being thirsty is overlooked and we go right into eating. And that becomes a snack that repeats over time and it becomes a routine, and the routine becomes something that is hard to break. That's how you find yourself eating at night the wrong things or afternoon at 3 p.m., we tend to get the cravings. It is because our hormones are fluctuating. Our cortisol is dropping. We're going to talk about that, what happens when that happens, and why is it that it's important that we start by the very, very basic concept of a woman, you need to balance our hormones. And we're going to talk a lot about that. And so your body is constantly communication, which is in communication. We just have to actually tune in, listen kindly, slow down, attentively try to decipher what the message is. Many times before we have a diagnosis or something big that happens to us, there are signs that the body is giving us, and many times we tend to overlook or ignore those things. And so the many symptoms that women experience that they feel like it's from getting old are balance in the hormones being off. You can have maybe estrogen or you have progesterone, you have testosterone off. Many times the cortisol is something that when you're pumping, stressed out all day and pumping cortisol in that uncertainty, fight or flight mode, that is going to prevent you from losing fat and also prevent you from being really empowered and present. And so the hormones can be out of balance. The metabolism tends to slow down. So we tend to have a little bit more of a belly pouch. We start experiencing inflammation in our midsection. We don't know what to do with it many times. We have higher levels of stress. It's harder to keep the focus. Our mind is actually being challenged, and the nutrition and the sleep is also impacted. The way we eat gets impacted when we don't have the time, when we don't dedicate the time to cook for ourselves, prepare meals for the week, or buying things that are at hand's reach that are going to be a better option than something elaborated in or in a box that you put in the microwave. Processed foods are the worst thing for your health, and so we're going to invite you for the next 21 days to start being cognizant of how you feel when you consume those things and really using that feedback as a way to intercept, interrupt, and change the direction. I always say that transformation is not an overnight thing, and it starts with that awareness of what the impact has been. So when we become very aware of what the impact has been, many times we just feel really uncomfortable because all of a sudden we get really present to what has been the impact of me not taking care of myself, gaining fat, being tired, lacking focus, feeling irritated, distracted, all the things that happen in middle age. And so what I want to say is that you are not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. That things, that power, that courage, that inner uh, brilliance is still within, but we tend to bury it. And so now we're going to bring it out again. And we're going to guide you through the process on the next 21 days to start making yourself a priority, to start aligning with your optimal health, to start making better choices, to start improving your nutrition and your sleep and your self-care in a way that by the end of the training, 21 days, I'm committed that you feel a solid difference on the way that you're operating throughout the day. Maybe a little more energy, maybe a little bit less cravings, maybe less irritability or better focus, whatever it is that you're going to experience, it will be personal to you and it will be your own experience. And I'm going to invite you to participate, whether it is that you do it in the group or you do it in YouTube, or I think in my business page, this is being also streamed. And so wherever you want to participate, you can send it to me by email, whatever you want to do. This is more for you than for me. Where the power will be in your participation in this particular training will be in the actions that you take and the inspiration you're going to receive to take the action, and then committing to make this change, this transformation long term. Some of you might have to lose 40 pounds. Some of you need to reduce the A1C, what they diagnose you with pre-diabetes or diabetes type 2, and that level needs to be dropped. It can be done naturally, it can be done holistically, but it's a process, a period of time of transformation, and where you start taking care of yourself and you repetitively do the things that will make it better so you can get yourself out of being overwhelmed, out of being out of balance, and more into that place of being at peace, grounded, and centered. And so, what we're going to do for day one, I'm going to give you a list of things that you might be experiencing. I'm also going to invite you to add, if there's one that I haven't mentioned that you feel that is really resonating with you and what you're dealing with, your in your personal experience and journey in life, that is a hindrance, that is an impact, that is a pain point related with middle age. And so it could be increased body fat. That's number one. It's going to be the homework. So I'm going to post it in the group later on, but I'm going to invite you to start pondering about it, thinking about it, choosing, tuning in, noticing, and sharing as much as you can in the process of this training. Increased body fat is the first one. Number two, inflammation. That was something that actually I got told in the last few months that I need to really focus on decreasing inflammation. It's something that we don't pay attention generally, but I did one genetic testing and it told me that in order for me to have overall optimal health long term, one of the things I need to focus on is in inflammation. So I've been doing all the things that I can to reduce the level of inflammation, and I can already sense that lowering and reducing and minimizing out of that awareness. So awareness, um, noticing the impact of it, that can sting sometimes. It can be uncomfortable. It can be a little scary. It can be frustrating. But it's important that we understand the impact because when we touch the bottom of the barrel, when we are like overwhelmed, withdrawn, hopeless, exhausted, burned out, when we are very much at the bottom of the barrel is when we can pump it up from there. There's no further, lower than that, the bottom of the barrel. So from there we can bring it up. And so hormones out of balance is the other one. Sometimes we're not aware of it, but if you notice that there's more fat in your middle section, if you notice that your sleep is being impacted, if you notice more irritability, less focus, it is very likely around your middle age years that you're dealing with a little bit of balance, lack of balance in your hormones. And or the last two are going to be anti-aging or aging concerns. And the last one is optimal health and or longevity. So I want you to give me a sense of what you're focusing on. What is your main pain point? And it might go that you try first with fat loss and then you go into balancing the hormones. But I recommend, quite frankly, I recommend exactly the opposite. We have to balance our hormones in order to accomplish that weight loss. But what I mean is that you can start with one and then go to the other one and then go to the other one. We don't have to take everything on. I just want you to tell me what is going to be the first priority for you during the next 21 days. So how is this challenging at, impacting or affecting your life by day 21? Let's project ourselves forward, right? Day 21 comes around. How has this training made a difference for you? And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you all the value. I'm going to give you all the tips. I'm going to give you all the inspiration. But if you don't do the homework, if you don't tune in, if you don't catch up with the training, if you don't practice what we're going through here, there's nothing I can do. I can't pick you up and take you to the gym or have you work out or prepare the meals or go shopping for you. All the things I'm going to give you are tips, tricks, inspiration, and a little bit of guidance, accountability to be able to support you in the journey. But you're going to have to bring your action, your commitment, your focus, your intention, all these things into the training, whether it's live or watching the replay. I don't really mind if you watch the replay. I understand everybody's busy, different timelines, and dealing with a lot. So question number two is, what are the emotions that this pain point creates for you? You can think of the emotions right now that makes you feel disempowered, frustrated, drained, hopeless, whatever it is, the impact that it has. Or you can also think of what would be the impact when I get there, when I accomplish my goal, when I improve whatever it is that you're focusing on the next 21 days. How would it feel? You can motivate yourself with the end point, the victory, the outcome, or you can think of what is the real impact on me. Because there's power in acknowledging the impact. It just makes you very aware and cognizant of how disturbing the side effects of middle age are when we're not doing anything to contrarrest those side effects increasing. And so we can minimize, we can avoid a lot of those things, but if we're not paying attention, if we're not taking care of ourselves, it's going to be really hard. So paying attention, noticing, tuning in, acknowledging the impact is going to be equally empowering as much as the actions that you're going to take. Uh, Point number three is if this problem disappear over the next 21 days, how would you feel different in your life? In other words, you reduce inflammation, maybe you lose a few pounds, maybe you improve your sleep, maybe you start eating better, maybe you start going to the gym, maybe you start a spiritual practice of meditation or yoga or whatever it is that helps you stay grounded, centered, empowered, and present. And so, whatever it is that you're going to do, what will be the feeling, the emotion, the sensation, the experience? What will be available for you at that time when you already got the result, when you already accomplished the goal, when you got to the end, destination? The victory is present, alive, real. We can feeling and sense it. Okay. So point number four, and I have five of them, so there's two left, is what would your healthiest, stronger, and strongest and confident version, most confident version of you would look like? I want to discourage you from thinking that it will look like your teenage year version, or prior to marrying your sweetheart, or prior to having the three babies, two babies, one baby, or prior to menopause. I invite you to think of how would I look like if I were to do something realistic and measurable at this point in time. I find that a lot of women lose weight and they lose weight fast, and then what happens is the skin starts kind of like getting really soft. And so it is important that we focus on gaining muscle as much as losing weight, and that body composition transformation many times makes us feel and look better than losing a bunch of weight and not doing an exercise at all in the last few months, and then finding ourselves in the ideal weight, but all the body is kind of lacking that tone, that strength, that muscle mass. And especially in these days where a lot of people are using the GLPs without accompanying it with the best practices, it is important that we understand that that tool could be useful as long as you do all the other things that you need to do to minimize the drawbacks or the side effects or the consequences of taking such things to be. And so the last of the questions is, what is one commitment that you're willing to make for yourself inside of this 21-day journey? One commitment that you're willing to make to yourself during the next 21 days training. It's not for me, it's not for anybody else in the group, it's just for you. And I invite you to just tune in and take a moment and notice what has been the impact, what has been the side effects, what has been the feeling, the frustration, what has been the pain point in the last few months, and just state in the group as soon as I put the homework, what is it that you want to focus on? What is your priority? What is your biggest pain point that you want to address? What do you want to set the intention and go to work on at least for the next 21 days? And after the 21 days are over with, I will give you plenty of options for you to remain accountable, to remain in synergy and empowered through different options to work with me or whoever you choose to work with. But the journey doesn't end at the 21 days. It could be easily said that the journey starts with the 21 days. Why? Because it takes 21 days to develop a new routine and to change a mindset. So the invitation will be to use this 21 days as a creation of synergy, commitment, discipline, consistency, awareness, all that prioritization of ourself, our self-care. And outside of these 21 days, when we are done, then you can continue creating that transformation that will be required long term with discipline, consistent commitment, and all the things. This is just going to be like the motor, the starting point, the spark, so that you can actually get started, feel good, and feel guided, accompanied. I also invite you all to connect with each other, read other people's homework, share your own journey. This is an all women's group. Nobody's going to be outside of this group. And I invite you to be vulnerable, to share the true, raw self of who you are instead of trying to pretend or people please or impress or show off or anything else. We're all women. We all have one thing in common, feeling better, looking better, and increasing our sense of well-being so that we can experience longevity. Because nobody wants to live to 100 years if the body's achy and we're not feeling good. So when we think of longevity, we also want to think of quality of life. So the invitation for you today is to identify out of all those things that we mentioned, increased body fat, inflammation, hormones out of balance, anti-aging, or optimal health, and let me know what are the points of focus that you are going to be uh, setting an intention around creating your discipline, your commitment, your consistency on all the things around this 21 days. I'm going to be doing a raffle for the people that participate in the training homework, and the homework is going to be the most important thing. So I highly encourage you to take it on seriously, not because you have to or it's wrong if you don't do it. It's because when you focus and commit and you follow through with that little bit of a little bit of energy, then you pat yourself in the back, and that synergy, that sense of accomplishment, that celebration of your outcome that you created allow you to keep on going with more synergy, confidence, and consistency. When we don't stop and celebrate the little victories, we're never going to get to the long-term outcome. And so let's start with little wins, little actions, little shares, little awareness, little shifts, and from there, building one day after the other ones. I promise you, by day 21, you're going to feel much better. You're going to be much more committed to your self care, and you're going to be much more empowered. And so I'm going to leave it at 45 minutes. I don't want this training to be too long. I want you to be focused most in your actions. And all that we have for today is going to be identifying what is the main pain point that you're going to be catering to or focusing on or trying to overcome, transform, let go, release, and or what do you want to align with in the next 21 days so that you feel empowered and you feel better about yourself and you have that sense of ease, flow, joy, happiness, and being in your life, living from your purpose and leaving a legacy behind versus the hustle and the working and the busyness and all the things that we were living up until we started this training. I know you're busy, so I don't take your time for granted. I appreciate you all being here, whether it's for the live or the replay. I will go back live at 8 p.m. tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time. Let me know if you have questions, comments, anything you want to share with me, and feel free to message me on any of the social media outlets by email. And let's go ahead and invite at least one more person to be in the training tomorrow with us. A woman that might be experiencing any of the things that we discussed, extend the invitation, have them come free of charge, and the more, the merrier. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a beautiful night, and I will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.